Everyone, Mango7Roll here. How we doing today? Welcome to another episode of Epic 7, and today we're gonna do a constructive, what's the word for this? A constructive quality of life video. I'm gonna go over things I think would make the Epic 7 experience much better, much less frustrating, and just overall more fun to use. None of this is going to be anything like stamina fixes or Molagora changes or gold problems. All of this is stuff we already know and not the focus of this video. This is going to focus on instead just the game itself and the UI and stuff that doesn't really hurt or change your gameplay, but can super just make you happier while playing. So we're going to start off with adventure mode, and this is one of those things where a lot of these suggestions have to do with how things are displayed in the UI or how many clicks it takes to get to a certain area. So let's click on adventure mode here, and I've been farming 9-8 for quite a long time right now. It's the place I go to every single time I click that adventure button. It's what I hit and what I want to go to when I click to adventure. But unfortunately, the game doesn't care. It sends me to basically anywhere in episode 2, I believe. And instead, if I want to go farm the place I've been farming, I have to go hit episode 1. I then have to click 9-2. And then I have to load up, and you'll see I'll be in 9-8 here. And this is really frustrating and just one of those things that makes you have to click a couple extra times. And as you can see by that load time there, the load times in this game are pretty abysmal on emulators. And granted, that's not their problem, but it's still something they could indirectly fix by just making it take less clicks to do things. So we just finished 9-8. Let's say we finish running that. We hit back because our inventory was full for some reason. It takes us 5 more clicks to get back to our inventory. And then let's say we fix our inventory here. We click back on adventure. Where do we go? What a surprise. It's not 9-8 again. So I really think it should save where you were last. I think that would help a bunch of clicks. And speaking of clicks taking you to where you probably shouldn't go, let's click on to catch a thief here. And this is the banner for the event right now. So you think if you click on to catch a thief, you'll get sent to catch a thief, but instead you're sent one way back, which means you have to click it again to get to the other side story, and then again to actually get to the stages. So it's just 3 extra windows you kind of have to go through. And speaking of that, as you're going through here, one of the things I do when I'm farming is make sure I don't over farm something, and in order to do that, I can't really figure out how many things I have or how many things I have to buy. The AP exchange right here is grayed out. This would be a perfect spot to put the exchange, but instead I have to hit back on Savara here, wait for this one to load, and then click into exchange to figure it out from here. So as you can see, a lot of these are just really simple things that stuff that you click on doesn't necessarily do what you think something you click on should do, is basically what it comes down to. There's also a lot of sorting problems. So if we click this little inventory here, one of the things I like to do and use for changing up equipment really quickly, especially artifacts, is going through this menu here. And the reason why I like this menu is because it's accessible from almost any screen, and it's a one-click thing. You get here and you're here. But the problem is there is no sorting. There's no real way this is sorted. I can't figure out why or how, or reasons why it's like this. It's not sorted by when you summon something because I just got Sigrid. It's not sorted by CC because there's no way Destina is up there. It's not sorted by element. Like, what in the world is this sorted by? I can't figure it out. And whatever it is, it's nonsensical. And I think this needs to change to maybe just CC would be great. That's something we can all kind of agree with. That way you have the people with the highest CC at the top and you at least know what you're getting into and can scroll where you want to go just by that. So that's something that I think would be very beneficial to have changed. Another thing too, if we click on this table here, let's say I want to sort this window by let's say I want to scroll through my light element units whenever this loads. And again, this is an emulator problem of loading, not a phone problem. But It makes it especially more frustrating since so many people play on emulator. So let's say we want to sort by light units and swords there. If we click on Free Spirit Tieria here, want to look at her stats, it completely gets rid of any of the sorting we've already done. Whenever this flipping loads, I'm sorry. This completely ignores all of our sorting and gets rid of it. There's no reason for that. Their sorting should persist through this click, and all this really makes me do is have to go through and click sorting again. So as you can see, all our sorting is done, so I then have to do this again to actually go through and find something again. Once you're in this specific window, you're free to do whatever you want, and it doesn't get rid of your sorting. It's just specifically that window, but that window, the one I was at before, is the place you're at every single time when you first go into your inventory like this. So another thing that could be changed quite heavily is what's shown during auto repeat. So if we click on battle here, let's just go to battle, let's go to hunt. Let's just start auto repeating Wyvern here, I guess. And this is one of the parts right at the start that I feel is kind of weird. I don't know why they decided to just go all sorts of messed up with pets, but just only having a choice of 20 here and nothing else just feels really awkward. Like there's no reason for me to only ever have 20 there. That should be a way to change this. And I actually don't know how to change this as I realize it now. I'm guessing the way to change it is clicking that settings button. And by the way, the lag is way worse than it usually is. So this is like especially frustrating right now. But I think you might click settings. Yeah, you can click settings to change it for each individual character through like 6 different clicks. That's not what we want to do. We just want to click it right on this window right here. And then once we actually get into the battle right now, holy, I swear it's never this bad. But anyway, once we get into the actual battle here, we can click here and it doesn't show anything important. It shows the gear there when we get some. We can click settings, but we can't actually change this for some reason. I don't understand why, but we can't. And this is important for a couple reasons. One is it takes 5 runs of your daily and daily areas to get your quest done, so I want to auto repeat it, but I don't want to go more than 5 times, so there's no real way for me to change that. To top it all off, there is actually no way to see how much stamina I have or how much leaves I have. So if we click at settings right now, there's recharge by leaf or skystone, but I don't know if I want to charge by leaf or skystone because I have no idea how many leaves or skystones I actually have. There's just no way to tell. And that is the most important thing to show in all of this. The repeat battling window also is about 3 times as big as it should be. Even just the top part with the pet symbol and then repeat battling, just that top part is already bigger than it should be. There's a couple ways you can go about doing this. One is just putting on a battery optimization screen, which a lot of games do, but I don't think that's right for Epic 7 because I think the visuals are so important to show. But this should be missing or somewhere else. And right here, it's on the most important part of the screen. Like, can't really see debuffs, can't really see buffs, can't really see how much HP the boss is at. I can't really see anything, right? And on top of that, it says repeat battling, repeat battling, repeat battling. Like, there's just no reason for this to be like this. So long story short, repeat battling should definitely be much smaller. It should possibly be in another area. I'm not sure where. And it should definitely show how much stamina you have, how many skystones you have, and how many leaves you have, even if that area is just right here and nowhere else. Also, talking about repeating here, there's an argument you could change how auto abilities work. A lot of games right now have a way where you can toggle off skill 2s and skill 3s. So for example here, if I wanted to, if Lulika was on my team, I could toggle off her skill 2, so on auto she would only use her skill 1 and skill 3. That would make her very viable just as herself, and give you much more freedom with autoing, and definitely make a bunch more units who weren't necessarily good perhaps much better in certain situations. Another couple things with the way the auto works is being able to click on certain things in certain windows. We've all had that time where, let's say, our inventory is full, but it doesn't actually let us click on the inventory menu. So we have to click out 7 different times to get to the main menu, and then we have to go change all of our equipment from the equipment menu. And then you go back into the stage and hit start, and then you find out your hero inventory is full too. That could mostly all be fixed if they just let us click on it instead of graying it out. So there's a lot of things just in that could really be fixed just by some UI improvements. I guess we'll let this finish here because this is my new team and this is running so horribly. I must have something running in the back taking all my CPU. I'm so sorry about that. The other part too, as we go through this battle here, is there are a couple situations that seem to just not let you see what you obtained in auto repeats. I can't really repeat it, but it happens a lot to me where I go to check what I got and it just doesn't tell me, and the button's gone. I don't know when that happens, but when that happens, it should definitely be changed because you should be able to see what you got from your auto repeat. It's just, it should be available, you know? Anyway, we'll get our Covenant bookmarks here. We can hit close. Repeat battling ended after 0 battles. For some reason, they also made the first repeat battle not actually a repeat battle, which is just kind of awkward. Let's go into RTA now. There's a couple things in RTA that I think could be super fixed in terms of what makes searching for characters in the matchup not only easier to do, but also faster, which makes it so battles go faster for each person too. First thing we start at is the ban phase. They do have a search here, but the search just doesn't work right, and it's case sensitive, which just doesn't make sense. So let's find Spectre Tenebria. We start off with Teneb. That doesn't do anything. But we do find out that Eneb does something and finds us Tenebria. So we can see here that if you're going to include the T, you need to capitalize it, which just doesn't really make sense to me. I really think that should be just case sensitive. And then as for actual sorting, it should really select what units you've picked first and then add them to the top. So for example, I picked Arbiter Vildred. The Arbiter Vildred should be the top person on my list next time I do RTA. My next pick right now is going to be, let's say, Selene here. So then Selene should now go above Arbiter Vildred. So next time I do a battle, my first 2 people will be, not Selene, Cerise first, and then Arbiter Vildred next. And then every time I pick a new unit, it should actively put them at the top. So what this does is after the course of a bunch of games, you only have the top units you're always using, and you don't have to always be searching for it. I really think that's something that should be fixed and should be changed, because it would just make this searching much better. Like, I've never used Assassin Cartusia, Misty Chain, Chaos Inquisitor. I've never used these for RTA, but yet every single time I've got to scroll through them just because of how they set it up. There's also things that are missing that should be shown in the journal, one of which is the VA. You can't currently see who the VA is of a character unless you have them, which just doesn't make sense to me. One of the driving things to summon a character is often their voice actor. For example, if Basar was the current banner right now, having VA Matthew Mercer at the bottom would definitely sell more Basars than it would otherwise, and I think it's really important for people like me who care about that, and it's just a small thing that really has no reason not to be added. Also, you should be able to click on this, for example, and have it show what the artifact does. Yes, I know you can click down here, but let's be real here. Any new player on this screen here is probably going to try to click on this before anything else. So that's just something they should definitely make more accessible. Speaking of accessible, one of the things I ran into recently when I was trying to equip my Selene was the inability to see stats. So let's take a look at Light Tieria here, since my Tieria isn't maxed right now. So let's say my Tieria is level 1, which is often the level a unit comes at, and you want to equip them. there is no real way to see what kind of stats that character would have at level 60. So we can go into this equipment menu here and put on equipment, right? Like we could put on whatever we want and show it right here, but we can't really know what her stats are going to look like at 60. So there really needs to be a slider of sorts, probably up here or maybe down here, just a slider somewhere that allows you to go to level 60 max awakening so you can see. This kind of punishes me a lot. For example, with Celine, I leveled her up at level 1 in her side story with no gear on, because if I put gear on her, I might have to take it off because I wasn't entirely sure of what stat she would look like at 60, and it was just kind of frustrating. Alternatively, I could just go put gear on Violet and compare it that way, but that's not really a solution. It should be really easily shown. Speaking of this window as well, there could be a couple extra ways to sort. For a recent example, I was trying to level up Friendship, and currently there's no way to see Friendship without individually clicking on each character. It's something I like to farm. I know it's not for everybody, but I personally like to farm different people's Friendship, and if it was more accessible to see, I would definitely be farming more of it. But right now, to see Friendship, I have to click through each individual character, which is kind of frustrating. So there really should be a sort by Friendship or something similar to that in this window. Also, another thing, I find myself manually clicking through a bunch of different things to try to figure out which ones need more imprints. So if I want to see an imprint, I have to click through each individual one again, and there could be a better way to show that. Maybe it's like a gold border, or if it's triple S or something similar to that. So yeah, as you can see, there are a ton of things I really think should be changed or added for this. And there's a billion more. There's a ton more that I run into as I go that I'm supposed to remind myself and add down and write down, but I always forget about it. So this is the list of things that come to my mind right away, and I'm sure you folks have a lot of ideas too, and I'd love to hear it in the comments below as well. This isn't meant to be a complaint video. This is meant to be like a constructive way to make the overall gameplay a little better, and I really hope they incorporate some of these into the game. So thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe as always, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody!